Okay, everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. We're going to start the new year off right by actually taking a look back to see which watch was the watch that I actually wore the most this past year in 2022 and why. You guys might be here because you've seen my little guest appearance I did on Teddy Balthazar's channel for the New Year's Eve kind of big Avengers level YouTube watch people collaboration, which I was really honored to take part in. But here's my kind of extended take with a little bit more depth in terms of which watch I wore and why. So looking forward to sharing it with you guys. Let's go ahead and find out. Okay guys, so there you have it. The Seiko Prospex SPB317 Slim Turtle. It's a 6105-8000 reinterpretation, and its combination of tidy dimensions and iconic Seiko diver good looks really made it an easy choice for everyday wear. And I'd say it does wear pretty easy on my 7.5-inch wrist. Although, of course, the nature of kind of reviewing watches on YouTube means that I do constantly have new stuff in the rotation. I did keep finding myself coming back to this Slim Turtle. And I think that although it pairs really perfectly on this tropic rubber strap, you can easily dress it up. As you can see, we'll get into that, maybe swap things out. I didn't have that much time. I only had 45 seconds on my clip for Teddy's channel. So we'll actually get those swapped out. You can see here kind of the example for the dressing it up. I do have a crown and buckle chevron noble strap. And then in terms of dressing it down, I do have a Habeston parade strap. And then even to add a little bit more kind of tying back to those military inspired roots, actually you can see I do also have a Sangen Instruments Navigator compass. So with all that said, guys, this piece for me, again, it was just extremely wearable. It is actually the thinnest Prospex mechanical dive watch that they have ever released, and I have to say that I'm really happy with it. If you guys are looking for a full breakdown and everything like that, that would be in the full review. I'll go ahead and leave a link to that in the description, but let's actually move on to getting this piece on the wrist to see how it wears. All right, guys, as you can see on my 7.5-inch wrist, this wears just about perfectly. Of course, if I was to bring it a little bit too close to the camera, you're gonna get some lens distortion there. So what I'll do is I'll keep my wrist down here, and then what I'll do is I'll just kind of tighten the shot up so you guys can get a better look at what this is gonna look like up close without really messing up the aspect ratio and the way that it's gonna be perceived. And you can see that this just fits the wrist really nicely, lays nice and flat, very slim, and I really dig it, and especially on this tropic rubber strap, I think it really ties in to that kind of vintage design aesthetic. But with that said, let's actually swap it out and see how it looks on some other straps. All right, guys, well, now far from being a dress watch, you know, this beautiful diver is thin enough to where it actually can fit nicely underneath a cuff. I'm not saying that you ever really need to or should need to, but you know, ever since 007, Sean Connery originally rocked his, you know, vintage Submariner Big Crown on a, you know, nylon pass-through strap way back when, I have to say that it has been quite an intriguing look to really dress this up. Now, when I say dress this up, I mean dressing up a diver. And because of the really classic aesthetic here, you know, you do have that matte appearance on the dial, the matte appearance on that aluminum bezel insert. It really just does help with keeping this thing quite stylish. And you can see here the hardware on this crown and buckle chevron noble is really second to none, guys. Check this out. Look at how nice that is. Really beautiful beveling and brushwork, something you don't really see. And then of course you do get quite a nice sheen when you're looking at the actual nylon weave itself, which is not overly tight like a seatbelt style. It actually does have a lot of great texture and sheen to it because of that texture, but it is still quite, I'd say it's tightly wound, but in a way that you can see there's just a nice pattern that goes to it, even in this kind of all black spec, although there are a bunch of different colorways that you can also check out, which I definitely recommend checking out Crown and Buckle. But while we're here, what I can do is slip this out. And another nice thing to notice, guys, this is a slim watch, so the last thing you want to do is add a lot of material underneath it, keeping it off of your wrist. So because of that, this works really, really well. So if you do have another strap, or to say another diver in mind, I would definitely recommend a strap like this if you really want to kind of play into that a little bit more dressy, kind of classy aesthetic with your kind of vintage inspired divers. But what I do want to also show here is this piece right here from Haveston. Now, Haveston are one of my favorite strap manufacturers because they really just kind of reimagined the NATO style strap. One, of course, they did add this sliding keeper, but they also did shorten the length. And for me, having a larger size wrist, shortening the length really made a huge difference in terms of the way that it's going to wear, because either I need extra length so that I can actually fold that back under, or I need less length so that I don't really have to worry about folding it back under. So let's go ahead and get this piece on here. And actually, first we'll do it without the compass just to give you guys a look. Check that out. Very, very nice, very sporty, as you can see, and extremely versatile. We'll go ahead and throw that on the wrist. Check that out. Just go ahead and tuck that, and then because this keeper right here slides, what I can do is slide it down just enough to where I can just capture that little tongue there, and it keeps it nice and tidy without having to refold anything back in. So very, very handsome. Again, very nice sheen here, but in a different way, because the sheen itself is just a little bit tidier, because you're getting more of kind of that seatbelt style where it's very, very nice, very supple, very soft. And you know, but maybe this feels a little bit too dressy for some of you. I do like this quality because it's going to wear really well, and I think it also plays well with all of the different kind of textures and color play that you're going to get even within the black on black styling here. But one thing you can do to just really make it ultimately sporty, or if you want to kind of get in touch with, of course, the this was actually the watch that inspired this watch was actually a military issue piece. So if you really want to get into that, the nice thing is you can add a little compass here, and everything just goes in really well. I'll throw that on the wrist now. And you can see, although it does add a little bit of bulk there to kind of the presentation, it also adds just a bit of fun. And, you know, for me, after spending, you know, almost 10 years in the United States Marine Corps, wearing a compass on a NATO strap is no new idea. But this just fits so well, and it suits the watch really, really well. And then, you know, it just gives it a whole different kind of personality. It just really keys in again to that more mil spec, you know, styling. And I really dig that, especially when you have, you know, the fully indexed bezel insert there, which is really great. Which actually, hey, while we're here, let's get some bezel action. Great grip, tactile engagement. Lines up nicely, and there's enough play in there to where you can really get it perfect. You know, if you're gonna be kind of, you know, a real stickler for alignment, which it happens, especially with Seikos, everybody kind of notices. Again, this isn't the full kind of review for this watch. This is just, you know, me rambling on a little bit about why this one was so wearable for me and why I chose to wear it so often. And honestly, guys, I'm a huge bracelet guy. That's why kind of my SPB143 before this was really kind of my go-to piece. But with how versatile this is in terms of I can throw it on different straps, it actually kind of made it fun, especially with the drilled lugs and everything like that. It just added a whole new dimension to it. But with all that said, let's actually get this laid out for some lume shots, low light transition, and a couple of closing thoughts. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights here. As you guys can see, really nice lume, Seiko's proprietary Lumibrite doing its thing there, and you even do get a little bit of extra lume there if you do choose to wear, you know, a nice little compass, wristwatch compass add-on, right? But one thing I always like to work in is, of course, a low light transition. Because you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you're going to find yourself coming in and out of buildings, walking underneath overhangs, maybe just hanging out underneath the shade of a tree, or just in your favorite automobile. So it's nice to see what these colors, finishes, and textures render like in less than optimal lighting, just so that you can get a better idea of what this will look like in the metal. And you can see, guys, the black is a very true black. It doesn't play to anthracite or anything like that when it absorbs or reflects the light back, but you can see it does have little flashes and little play there in terms of, yeah, maybe to hit some hints of kind of gray, but right now this thing's pure black. The nice thing is the more you wear it, eventually you can wear out some of that finish there and, you know, get a little bit of ghosting on the bezel pretty naturally. But this thing is gorgeous and extremely legible. It does everything right in terms of just really keying into that key Seiko DNA, which everybody loves so much. So for me, guys, you know, again, I am a bracelet guy, but I found myself really gravitating towards this watch. I wouldn't say that it's better by any means, but it's just the one that I chose to grab, and it just makes it a little bit more wearable with that thinness, also with the versatility of different straps. I do tend to wear this on the beautiful rubber tropic strap that I had it on earlier, but the nice thing is I can really play with it, and, you know, depending on kind of the theme I'm going for, I can really play it up as either a little bit of a dressier piece, a little bit of a more retro piece, a little bit more of a military inspired piece, and that's a lot of fun for me as somebody that does have, you know, way too many watches in my collection. So with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do a like, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.